Washington said government is not eloquence, it's not reason, it is force. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. And make no mistake, AOC wants to be your fearful master. Last week at a hearing held by the House Oversight and Reform Committee, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said the government should require at least 8 weeks of paid maternity leave because puppies get 8 weeks with their dog mothers. Now, granted, it's easy to make fun of AOC because she rips off some serious meme-worthy events. But Cortez actually represents the pure statist mindset of forcing people to do things against their will and without their consent simply because the government wants to flex and expand its immoral strength in our lives. In handling this particular topic, most people that I've seen deal with this don't play the context of the entire clip. And in failing to play the whole thing, they leave out the fact that Cortez isn't just talking about forcing businesses to provide at least 8 weeks of paid maternity leave for women, but also for men.
I have to disclose that I have a stake in this fight. When I was first starting my office here, I decided to offer 12 weeks of paid family leave.
Now, before I proceed, that right there was a shameless attempt to virtue signal and put herself up on a pedestal and present herself as an example of how all you business owners should be. Never mind that it's easy to offer 12 weeks of paid family leave when you're stealing tax cattle money to do it. AOC isn't producing something and running a business and having to compete in the marketplace. Her money comes from the theft of the American people at the hand of a government that eliminates competition. So of course she can offer lucrative benefits packages.
And in my first 11 or 12 months in office, there have been 6 pregnancies in my congressional office, and six folks have taken pregnancy or medical leave. 5 of them men in my office, new fathers or folks that are taking medical leave, taking care of their families.
So people are just taking the ending clip, which we'll see in a minute, where she's just talking about new mothers. And from that last clip, they're saying, based on what AOC says about new mothers, businesses would adjust to the implementation by government of mandated paid family leave and just stop hiring women. But that wouldn't solve anything under AOC's plan, because her forcing paid family leave down the throats of business owners includes men. You wouldn't be able to escape this tyrannical mandate by pivoting to the male gender in your hiring practices. This is the insidious nature of tyrants like AOC.
This has been a very important dynamic. Many of the men in our office have testified how after the birth of their children or in supporting their partners, how critical it has been to be there for in each of these cases, the women in their lives. I would like to submit to the congressional record 2 testimonies from my staffers, Marcus Bettinger and Ariel Ekblad, on the impact of paid family leave in our office. But out of these testimonies, 2 important statements stood out. From my staffer, Marcus, he said, "As I write this today, I am currently home with my oldest son, while my partner visits family in Ohio with our youngest son. This might seem an inconsequential detail, but if I was not able to take this time off from work and be fully paid, my partner would not have been able to travel." And from my chief of staff, when asked about does giving dads less paid parental leave than moms contributes to the pay gap, when asked about that, she said, "My thought is this. There is this often explicit but sometimes tacit assumption that child rearing is the job of the mother. But child rearing is the job of the humans that have collectively decided to have that child."
Yep, that's the parent's decision to have a child. And at the bargaining table, when you're negotiating benefits for a job, a third party should not be dictating and forcing employers to offer something against their will. It should only be up to the prospective employee and the business owner to mutually agree on the terms of employment.
When you have an institutional setup when you have institutional setups that reify that say, oh, actually dads don't need as much time because it's not their job to child rear, it's problematic. It creates expectations for employers who presuppose if I hire a woman in a certain age range, she might leave, but if I hire a man in that same age range, he would not.
So it's clear. She's talking about forcing employers to offer paid family leave both to women and men.
Ms. Szabo, can you illuminate a little bit on the impact of paid family leave for men and on folks, the positive impacts that could have on people who give birth?
Absolutely. And the sentiments that your staffers have articulated actually came up really poignantly last week on a panel that I moderated at New America on the release of our Men in Care report, Men in Paid Leave specifically. There were 3 dads who talked about the cultural expectations that dads wouldn't take leave. They were able to negotiate, to cobble together. One of them had a wife who had a horrible labor and a baby that was in the NICU, and he was back to work within a week. Unknowing, sort of talked about how even in the childbirth classes and Lamaze and all of the other things he did, there was never a discussion from the hospital system or from his employer or from any of the other men in his life about the importance of men taking leave. So policy is a precondition. We have to design policies that have wage replacement that's high enough that men can afford to take leave. We also need a culture and sort of a discussion and men standing up to say, leave taking is important to me, and here's the way that it allowed me not just to bond with my child, but also to support my partner.
Thank you, Ms. Szabo. Ms. Gressler, you said earlier that you don't believe in a minimum wage. Is that correct? You believe the market should decide?
I don't think that we should take a job opportunity away from somebody if they're willing to work at a particular wage that the government is not allowing them to.
So no, you don't believe in a minimum wage. Do you?
This is another part of that exchange that commentators are leaving out. Forcing a minimum wage on businesses eliminates vital entry-level positions and forces business owners to pile more responsibility on current employees because when the government forces businesses to pay more for all employees, employers have to make adjustments or go broke. And when they go broke, not only are those employees not making minimum wage, now they're out of a job altogether.
I take it you don't believe in health care as a right either. Is that correct?
Health care is not a human right because a right necessitates an obligation on the part of someone else to provide that right for others, or else they'll be punished by government.
I believe that we should help provide access to health care.
Okay. Do you believe employers should offer health care to every employee that they have?
I think that as part of a benefits package, they should determine what is the best way and what do the workers want.
Okay, so no, you don't believe it should be uniformly offered?
I think it should be what workers want and what employers
Okay, so the answer is no.
That's absolutely disingenuous on the part of AOC to force Gressler into a yes or no box like that.
So, and similarly, your view on parental leave is to let the market decide. And I think what we've seen here is that the market has decided.
And if it's one thing AOC can't stand, it's a free market. You can't have a free market deciding things without the approval and violence of government.
Ms. Szabo, 80% of families don't have access and workers don't have access to paid parental leave, correct?
Paid family leave. So care for a child or a seriously family member, about a half of moms don't have access to paid leave.
So the market's decided. And what is the most common length of parental or paid family leave that you have seen?
In general, it's like 6 to 8 weeks, but it really depends, and there's not a great there's not a great sample that tells us.
6 weeks.
Did you notice that Cortez chooses the lower number of that range to make her point?
Do we know how long puppies are allowed to stay with their mothers after a dog has given birth?
I don't.
8 weeks.
Wow.
So the market has decided that women and people who give birth deserve less time with their children than a dog. And I think that at its core, has shown that the market has failed to treat people with dignity and with basic respect.
So because the market has failed to show dignity and basic respect for people, AOC's government is going to show you how to show dignity and basic respect by threatening you with government violence if you don't offer extended paid family leave to your employees.
And so when that happens, I think it's our job as the public to redefine the rules of society and to treat people who give birth with the dignity that they deserve. Thank you very much.
It's obvious to every normal person that you're not treating people with dignity when you force them to do something against their will and without their consent. And you definitely aren't treating them with dignity when you shove a government gun in their face if they don't comply with the wishes of psychopaths like AOC. Guys, if you enjoy this video, like and share it with everybody you can, everywhere you can on social media. And leave your thoughts about this for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comments section below. And I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.